Good morning, everyone. We are ready to begin.
Okay, good morning. Today is March 20th. This is a special meeting of the King. Today is March 20th. Sorry, today is March 19th, 2025. This is a special meeting of San Joaquin Valley Joint Powers Authority. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
I am here.
Bazzi,
Present.
Gonzalez,
Present.
Supervisor Calvert couldn't make it this morning. Alternate Hernandez,
Present.
Shucklian, Pedroso,
Here.
Valdez,
Here.
Vice Chair Burgess,
Here.
Vice Chair Hume,
Here.
Chair Burgoon.
Here,
Thank you. We have quorum.
here we go. Please rise as we do our national flag. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Very good. We'll go on now into public comment. Person wishing to address the authority on any items of interest to the public regarding San Joaquin Valley JPA and the San Joaquin Rail Service shall state their name and address to make the presentation. The authority cannot take action on matters not on the agenda unless action is authorized by section 54954.2 of the government code. If a member of the public wishes to make a motion, you can submit written comment to SJJPA staff via email at clerk@sjrrc.com, in which staff will read the comments aloud during the public comment period. 2, complete requests to speak from available at the entrance of the boardroom by on a tag and give it to the SJJPA secretary before the item is considered by the board. Join the Zoom meeting link and notify staff by alerting them via the raise hand or chat function. Call 1-669-444-9171 dial 9 to raise your hand when you wish to speak, and dial 6 to unmute when you are requested to speak. Please note that if you participate by using Zoom, all members of the public will be placed on mute till such time allow the public to comments to be made. And public comments will be allowed for 3 minutes. Do we have anybody that has any comments?
Yes, we have one in-person comment from.
Morning, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the San Joaquin Joint Powers.
Yeah, thank you.
Your call. Thank you. Good morning, members of the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. My name is Zachary Moore. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for the Transportation Communications Union, TCU Local Lodge 2506. Our union represents the Amtrak onboard and station employees who are working hard to provide crucial services to passengers in spite of pending test of vital amenities by your agency. The San Joaquins is not a commuter railroad. Many passengers are traveling long distances, over 18 hours in some cases. Your agency's decision to eliminate cafe service and reduce services at stations is demonstrative of general apathy towards our employees and passengers. Nobody should be expected to survive on warm sodas and junk snacks for nearly an entire day. It is one thing to be proper stewards of taxpayer dollars. It is another thing entirely to get rid of basic amenities in pursuit of cutting costs. Your agency's bean counters are so obsessed with the bottom line that they are worsening the very train service your agency was tasked with improving. Ridership has returned to pre-pandemic levels, and here we are talking about cuts to essential passenger amenities. Cafe cars are essential. Services at stations are essential. Stop making cuts to essential services for our passengers. Let our members do their jobs so that they continue to provide passengers on the San Joaquins with the first-class service that they expect and deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary.
We do have a few hands raised online. We have a total of 4. I will start with Carter Lavin and allow to talk now.
Hi, my name is Carter Lavin. I'm an Oakland resident and I'm the co-founder of the Trans Bay Coalition. We're calling in because this is now the 2-year anniversary of the disastrous and unjust decision to shut down and eliminate Amtrak service to the Pittsburgh Antioch communities, which are very large, very large communities, diverse communities, and communities that rely on this service. The one thing that's I think really surprising about this decision and kind of still the lack of communication, it's still very unclear when that's supposed to stop and all those kind of things. There's no signage around the station still. Is the fact that this is actually one of the better used stations. This is, there's I think 5 other stations served by the San Joaquins that have less service. So this is really an own goal, and we really encourage, while Oakley is being open, to keep Pittsburgh Antioch open, and when Oakley is open, keep both open. Oakland and Emeryville are very nearby. I think they're even closer. There's no reason you can't serve both of these stations. So we as Trans Bay Coalition stand with the community and urge you to keep this service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lavin. Next.
Thank you. Next will be Melvin Willis.
Oh. The thought behind like having this be open.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. My name is Melvin Willis. I am a lead organizer, campaign organizer with the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, ACE. I've been working with East County residents, particularly in Antioch and Pittsburgh, and I'm calling also to call on the reversal of the decision to close the Pittsburgh Antioch Amtrak station. To this day, there are still many community residents that don't even know that that decision was made back in 2023. There are folks that utilize that station to get to work. Some folks come from out of town to visit families, and it's a critical station for folks. And giving a alternative use of an Oakley station just is not feasible for the surrounding residents in those areas. There isn't really any clear accessibility for anybody to get to an Oakley station, which is out of the way from many folks who rely on the Pittsburgh Antioch Amtrak station to go to work, get to school. There's a downtown corridor. The city of Antioch apparently even made their plans with that transportation corridor in mind, and taking that station away is going to devastate the city's ability to build itself up and impact vulnerable residents who it's not feasible to use an Oakley station. We're not protesting any idea of there being an Oakley station. That's fine. However, we are enthusiastically and adamantly against closing one for another, especially closing a station where many vulnerable populations rely on it. Once again, more and more community members are finding out about it, having to wonder what does that mean for them and how they move forward, as that station has been a part of their lives and a convenience in their lives. And I would call on this board to reverse that decision, make sure you're doing an impact analysis and involving community members in any process when it comes to cutting services from stations. So please do not close the Pittsburgh Antioch Amtrak station. Work with community members in the surrounding cities to make it a vibrant station that everybody can benefit from moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. Next one.
We received another in-person comment from Mr. Freddie Gums.
Yes, okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good evening. This is my second time speaking. Before you were over at the other place. I went to the wrong place. I'm sorry. Okay, this Amtrak station is very important to not just the people of Antioch and the people of Pittsburgh, but also to the rest of the country. This is our means to get out to Washington, DC, to Chicago, to everywhere else, to have people from around our country come and visit us here in California at Antioch, okay, and Pittsburgh. Because we were not given the proper notice as citizens. We have not been treated fairly by this board or whoever makes the real decision as to how the public sees an Amtrak station there in their city. We would like to be represented by this Joint Powers Commission equally and fairly, especially as citizens of the United States and citizens of California. We want the ability to access anywhere we want to go at a decent price and in comfort. And that is done on the train because our highways are full. Our highways are full of traffic daily. You said 2 hours trying to go just from Stockton to Antioch. With on the train, you get it there in 20-25 minutes. Doesn't make sense that you would take away something that's so convenient for seniors, for handicapped. I know students that leave from their parents because they have 2-parent home in Stockton to go all the way to Antioch to go to school. They take the train. It's safer, it's more convenient. Okay, and there you get to know people riding on the train as part of your community, and your environment really speaks, volumes. The atrocities that I've heard about happening on the train. I've been riding the train now for what, going on 3 years? I haven't seen any of that. I've seen a couple of incidents, but the train staff handles things very efficiently. It's not a big scene. The biggest things I've seen have been outside of Stockton, okay, and down in Oakland. I haven't seen any of that there in Antioch. The rationale for taking away something that works just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Okay, I would like for the board to approve keeping the Amtrak station where it is, keeping it open, and actually doing more to put more valuable kiosks at Antioch, more even blue lights. So if you have fear for yourself, like the colleges, you can push the button on the blue light and the police will show up, and alert everyone. But I don't even think that's the issue. The issue is that something happened that was very wrong. And now it needs to be corrected, and we all have sense enough to correct that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We still have a few hands raised. To Stephanie Tadeo.
Stephanie, you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good morning. San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. My name is Stephanie Taddeo. I'm a resident of Contra Costa County and a board member of NAMI, which stands for the National Alliance of Mental Illness of Contra Costa County. I urge you to do everything within your authority to keep the Pittsburgh-Antioch station open. A wide range of people rely on this station to conduct their daily lives, to include people of color, seniors, veterans, the mentally and physically disabled, students, and small businesses. Closing the station imposes an extreme hardship, and it must remain open. The Antioch Pittsburgh community has been clear about their extreme need to keep it open. Please listen to the community and permanently keep the Pittsburgh-Antioch station open. Thank you.
Thank you. The last person that has their hand raised is Carmen Martinez. You should be able to talk now.
Guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello, San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. I am speaking before you all so that to demand that the Pittsburgh and Antioch Amtrak station remain open. I am a Contra Costa County resident who frequently rides Amtrak. The decision to commission the station in 2023 was made without proper community engagement or input from the Antioch City Council. Riders and residents deserve a fair and transparent process, and that did not happen. Expecting Pittsburgh and Antioch riders to use the proposed Oakley station as an alternative is unreasonable. The communities relying on the station, seniors, veterans, students, and working families will face unnecessary hardship. Closing the station will have immediate negative impacts, especially on our disadvantaged communities and small businesses that depend on it. We have been told that BNSF has a 6-mile station distance policy, yet stations like Emeryville and Oakland do not meet this requirement. If exceptions exist elsewhere, why not here? Where is the public access to the policy? As elected representatives, do you think this is fair? Additionally, no analysis has been conducted on how this closure will impact current riders. Decommissioning the Pittsburgh Antioch station will also impact regional funding tied to transportation corridors. We're not asking for a replacement. We're demanding that the Pittsburgh Antioch remain open to continue existing, and we urge you to reconsider this decision and commit to real community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We also received 2 emailed public comments. At the request of the chair, I will be summarizing these and including the full copies at the end of the official minutes. The first public comment received for general public comment will be from William Goodwin, urging the board to reconsider the Pittsburgh Antioch station decommissioning. The second public comment was from Michael Barnbaum, another member of the public, asking staff to assist with Amtrak website purchase issues.
Very good, that's it.
Yes.
Okay. If we move on now to item number 3, consent calendar. Pleasure to go at one time, all at one, or you want to do it separately?
Move to approve.
The motion to approve,
Second.
and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
Aye.
Bazey,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Aye.
Pedroso,
Aye.
Valdez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burgess,
Aye.
Vice Chair Humes,
Aye.
Chair Burgoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on now. Item number 4. All yours.
Thank you, Chair Verboen. Michael Hannaford, planner with SJJPA, and I'm here to introduce the draft annual business plan review. And so, as you know, the authority has an annual business plan. We renew it every year, certain updates, and the intention is for this to cover the next 2 state fiscal years. And as part of our responsibilities here at the Joint Powers Authority, we need to submit a draft by April 1st every year. That's why we're here in the March meeting. And then we will have a final version of that submitted to CalSTA by June 30th. We'll have that final review in May. And so in order for those to be reviewed by the state, those are the timelines we need to meet, and then they will develop annual appropriation requests from the legislature. And so a lot of the key focus areas that we have in the annual business plan really focus on service and delivery of that. Especially this year, we be focusing to implement the 7th round trip in later this year, and that will include some additional planning service around that. Some additional detail about that 7th round trip and its timing will be presented later in the agenda, but we will have that detailed out in the final draft as well. Along to go with that 7th round trip, we'll be looking at studying and implementing within this fiscal year a new throughway bus route from Merced to South Bay. And we'll continue to coordinate with High Speed Rail to bring their service online and coordinate around downtown Merced and the early operating segment and how that integrates with Valley Rail as well. Some more key planning issues that we'll look at, especially down in the Kings and Tulare County areas around the Cross Valley Corridor. We're focusing our efforts with KCAG, TCAG, and Fresno Coglos regional governments, as well as the local transit agencies in the city of Hanford around implementation of an early Cross Valley Corridor service, new bus line between Hanford and Visalia, as well as the Visalia to Tulare BRT route, and some land use and stationary planning around the new high-speed rail station. Another thing that we're looking to do is continue our joint maintenance agreement here at the RMF and Stockton. So planning and fleet maintenance are certainly part of this, as well as the continued coordination with the Regional Policy Council is really a key focus area for us, not just the planning, but having that voice reach out to the state legislature and in DC is critical at this time. We're
also embarking on a new planning study for network integration up and down the San Joaquin Valley. And that study, that early planning work will help feed into the FRA's Corridor ID program, which the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority is in partnership with Caltrans and helping planning the entire corridor, as you see here diagrammed out. And you can see kind of the integration we have up and down the state with other corridors as well, including that program. Along with our train service, of course, you know, our throughway network is vital, and so we're actually looking to have a full throughway optimization plan conducted this year. An effort that we've been coordinating on for a while now is express service along I-5 corridor north from Redding to Sacramento, and so that'll be wrapped up into this as well as continued coordination between at the Martinez station, so that we can be better coordinating with service along with Capital Corridor as our services there. And comprehensive signage and wayfinding project that'll look to be implemented this year, and we'll certainly start here along the San Joaquin's corridor and move our way north and south from Stockton in coordination with ACE. And so this will really help to synchronize and harmonize our services and how we present to the public when they do come to the stations and how they find our way around, as well as continued coordination with the ACE around the integrated ticketing. So our next steps, we did post the draft business plan on March 11th, and we'll continue to receive input from, of course, the board today, as well as other public and state agencies. We are looking to have some more public input that we haven't received any emails to date. We have received initial positive review from the rail committee as well, and we'll be encouraging anybody who would like to keep bringing those comments to us, and we'll incorporate those in the final draft and staff report in May. So our fiscal impact, of course, this plan does represent our ask to the state for administration, marketing, and operations funding in San Joaquin's, and we request that the board adopt a resolution to approve the draft business plan for the fiscal year 25.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the board? Any questions from the board online? Nope. Josh, you raise your hand, you stretch it. All right, do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. That clerk, please call roll.
Thank you. Directors Chiesa,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
alternate Hernandez,
Aye.
Pedroso,
Yes.
Valdez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burgess,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hume,
Aye.
Chair Verboen.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion
item
passes.
passes. Thank you very
Did
much.
you catch motion in a second? Was that?
Yes.
clear? Okay. Double check. Thank you. Whoa, whose kid got on that screen?
I didn't touch it.
This is Dan's.
You know that old excuse people use, well, my assignment, the dog ate it, or my kids drew up, obviously, yeah.
It's almost, I feel like I've been set up here. Well, there we go.
We're gonna go on item number 6 now. Dan. We'll take it down and now we're gonna. Thank you, Dan.
Well, good morning. This item, this discussion about the Madera station relocation project and an amendment we're doing, addendum to that. The Madera station relocation project is part of the larger Valley Rail program, and it's being done in 3 phases. The first phase is to relocate the existing San Joaquin station for this currently located in the Madera Acres area, the northern part of Madera County, down to a location in the southern part, in the Avenue 12 vicinity. We've completed final design for this. We're currently working with the High Rail Authority on a construction agreement. Once that's completed, we'll be able to start construction on phase 1. Phase 2 is at that same site to implement the improvements needed to allow for that station to become the High Rail station for the early operating segment.
We do have funding for that piece that we've secured. We're just about to start final design on that. And then phase 3 is the full build of the station. And for that, we're in the midst of doing the CEQA work. We're just getting close to being able to put out a draft EIR for the CEQA for phase 3.
Bring back the red squiggly.
Then you forward if it's. We might have a problem with our clicker. There we go. So back in January of 2021, you did approve a CEQA document, which is an initial study mitigating negative declaration that covered the environmental clearance, the CEQA clearance for both phase 1 and phase 2 of the Madera Station project. Go to the next slide. The reason we're having this item is because we do need to do an addendum to that certified document, that ISMND. The reason we need to do this is that recently, as part of the federal application for phase 2, for the mega application that we were successfully awarded, we did new ridership forecasts, which have a higher ridership forecasts than were previously used for the environmental work. And so there'd be increased parking demand. Since this additional parking demand doesn't cause any new or undisclosed impacts, an addendum was determined to be the appropriate way to move forward to get secret clearance. There were some other changes during final design that was done for phase 1. Those were also included in the addendum, and I'm going to go through those in just a minute. Your approval today is needed for us to be able to put out the draft EIR for phase 3. So we have to kind of do this in order. First do the addendum and then put out the draft environmental document for phase 3. Next slide. The footprint for the project, even with these changes, has not changed since the ISMND was done. And that's shown here in this figure with the sort of orange shaded area. Go to the next slide. This figure shows you the project elements that were approved for phase 1 in the ISMND, shown in red. This project for the station is really kind of nestled between the BNSF right-of-way and the high-speed rail right-of-way. On the lower right side of this figure, you see Avenue 12. And then the key elements are the access road, which brings passengers to the station, the bus facility, the parking, the platform along the BNSF right-of-way for phase 1, and a stopping track on phase 1. Go to the next slide. This slide shows you the alterations we made during final design. And the key one that you really can notice there is the access road was kind of moved a bit to the east. It follows more the property line of the state-owned property where our station is being mostly built. We did do a little adjustments on the parking, how it's configured, and how the bus bay facility was configured as well to help how this would be phased in the future. Go to the next slide. This figure shows phase 2 as it was approved for the ISMND. And you can see for this, we have expanded access for the road coming in from Avenue 12 to the station, have extended parking, a larger bus bay facility. And then we have a new platform this on the east side of the high-speed rail mainline tracks, and about a 2-mile stopping track for the high-speed rail to be able to pull off and stop at the Madera station. Go to the next slide. Again, this shows some of the highlights, the changes that were made for the current design. Where again, the access road was pushed a little bit more to the east, again, following the property line, which is better for transit-oriented development, both for our project and the land that's owned by the state, but also for the land that's next to us to the east, the property owner. It makes it better for them to be able to do TOD. And you can see that we also added in a couple of these roundabouts. That was when we were working with the property owner, which we had to purchase property for the access road. They did want those better access into their land for it to be TOD in the future. The key change here was because of the greater parking amount, we increased the parking facility from 280 spaces to 401 spaces for this design here. And then we also, in terms of doing it, we did find a better way to bring in the bikeway, so that it could have quicker access into the platform and station facility. Next slide. So these changes do not require any major revisions from the previous environmental document. There's no substantially increased impacts. There's only minor technical changes and additions necessary. Go to the next slide. Mitigation measures for this project are only needed during the construction. All mitigations that are needed for this project have already been approved by you in the ISND. There's no new mitigations required. And then in this chart does show the ones where the areas where we do need mitigation, that to get them to be less than significant impacts. And those are the 6 areas shown as stated. Next slide. We did include the addendum in your packet, and there's no fiscal impact of this action. We are recommending that you adopt the resolution of the governing board of the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority, adopting the final initial study mitigation negative declaration addendum for the Madera Station relocation project, and authorizing the executive director to execute any and all documents related to the project. Question.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions from the board? I have a comment. So being how high-speed rail is a target of funds being pulled at the federal level, should we do something through our PIO or something to show that this is important to Amtrak San Joaquin?
Absolutely.
And to show that, you know, this cannot be subtracted from or changed in any way. Because it really doesn't have anything to do with high-speed rail, but if high-speed rail finished, so we can't not do it, we still have to do it. So if long as we have the proper information out there so that people don't assume the wrong thing, I think it'd be great.
Absolutely.
So any questions from the audience?
Seeing none.
None? I'll bring it back to the board for a decision.
This is Gonzalez. I'll move to approve.
Moved by Madera.
Yes.
Second.
And second by Pedrosa. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Directors Kiesa,
Aye.
Bazey,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Alternate Hernandez,
Aye.
Pedrosa,
Aye.
Valdez,
Aye.
Burgess, or Vice Chair Burgess,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hume,
Aye.
Chair Baboon.
Yes,
Thank you, motion passes.
item passes. Thank you very much. Move on now to item 7. Dan, you, or David? Or-
I've got one more.
Okay, all right.
So I will let you continue the clicker since I guess I failed on that test. But this one also is about Madera. It's a little bit different because this is regarding to the contract for the phase 3 that we have underway for the environmental. If you go to the next slide, please. So the authority does have the responsibility for planning, environmental clearing, and getting funding for the Madera Ice Rail Station. And as I mentioned, being implemented in the 3 phases. And again, just noting that the last item talked about how in January 2021, you did approve the CEQA document for the first 2 phases. Following with the high-speed rail, once they get the early operating segment open and running, their intention is to continue to expand high-speed rail in the future, ultimately to the Bay Area and to Southern California, and really do this finish phase 1 from San Francisco to Anaheim eventually. Go to the next slide. Once high-speed rail extends to either the Bay Area or Southern California, additional improvements are going to be needed from the Madera Station beyond what we are doing for the early operating segments. This is because they're going to be able to need to run express trains through the station. And so they will have to add a platform on the west side and a stopping track on the west side as well to enable through running trains. And so we call that phase 3. It's the full build for the Madera High-Speed Rail Station. And this does require additional environmental clearance. So on August 11th, 2023, you did approve an agreement with Rail Pros Inc. For environmental review, planning, and preliminary engineering services for this Madera High-Speed Rail full build project. And that agreement was for just under $2 million. And the agreement expires on June 30th of this year. Due to the funding amount that was available at the time of the award, the NEPA scope was not awarded and it was deferred until additional funding could be available for this effort. Next slide. Funding for the current amount that we have for CEQA is expiring this April, at the end of April of this year. However, as I mentioned, we're going to have a draft document out in the next few weeks. That CEQA process will not be fully completed by the end of April. So that in this amendment, we're also including the ability to do the final EIR and the certification process as part of the amendment. An additional $1 million was provided by the state in our this current year's business plan for fiscal 24-25, and that was for this Madera full build station environmental effort. The request that we have today also includes an amendment which will utilize the first of one of our 2 years options, making the contract expiration date change to be June 30th, 2026. Next slide, please. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over.
Can I ask you to do one thing?
Sure.
Kim? Could you just explain a little bit the state's philosophy on these partial allocations that are part of they do business plan work, they go to certain funding sources, and some of them are incremental. That's not how we usually do it, and it's not how the Rail Commission does it, but sometimes what Caltrans can get in a certain fiscal year dictates that we have to kind of contain the scope. Just a quick.
I think that and so part of that's where, just to be clear in terms of the CEQA part, you want to go back one slide, if you could. Just to kind of explain this a little bit. So that, just to be clear, with the CEQA, we're not over budget. We're actually going to come in with CEQA completion less than we budgeted for that effort. The problem is time. And that, so we actually needed, the funding itself only covers, with the PTA funds, they can only do it for like a 3-year period. They expire after 3 years. So that's where it's hard for us to get all the funding that we need for a complete process that lasts more than 3 years. And for this case, because the actual contract wasn't done until August of 2023, we're actually completing a CEQA document in about 2 years period, but our funding is expiring because we got it the year before. And so that's where Stacey's mentioning that it's a problem. The funds just don't last that long. So that's why we have to separate it out. When we have a process that's going to take more than 3 years, we've got to do this in phases. We can't ask for all the money at once because otherwise we're just giving it back. So that's the issue there. But so we were actually completing the CEQA in a pretty fast time, in around 2 years. But this extra funding is allowing us now to have the NEPA funds, which are going to take another year or so, and then complete CEQA as well.
I have a question, Dan. So in the eyes of the public, we have always understood that High-Speed Rail had a CEQA exemption. Is that not true?
No, they've had to get CEQA and NEPA clearance for all their efforts.
Okay.
Yeah. Go to the next slide. So now I'll turn it over to Bob.
Thank you. Good morning. So the amendment was handled in accordance with the Rail Commission Procurement Manual, which the authority did adopt in 2015 and will be effective upon execution by both parties. And as Dan mentioned, it will go through now June 30th of 2026. We use the first option year. We will have another option year after that, so this could come back. But of course, it'd come back as an amendment in the future. Procurement and contract staff have confirmed that the price of the amendment is fair and reasonable, and that the additional services are reasonable and necessary. I'm gonna try to put. So this project is in the capital budget. It has its own project, the Madera Station full build. It is currently in the PA and ED phase. The budget is $3 million, and then if approved, the budget for this phase would be about $62,000. Again, talking about the funding, if in the next year there's going to be more, we probably have a very similar amendment coming back where we add money and then add the agreement or the amendment, excuse me. So staff recommends approval of this item, the amendment with Rail Pros for the Madera High Speed Rail relocation, and we would be happy to answer any question.
Okay, question.
I apologize, I don't know if you mentioned this, but the 62,000 that's remaining for this phase doesn't get a lot done. And you mentioned additional potential funding. How much more is left in this phase? What do you anticipate that expenditure to be?
Sure, so let me clarify that. So the 62 is after this amendment, so that's still remaining. So that would, if other funds were to come up, we would have that available. We would have to seek other funding sources, to be honest, if it gets over that.
Okay, so it's not that there's more anticipated in this phase that will exceed that 62,000.
No, I don't believe so at this point.
You don't have another trickle.
We don't have, yeah, we don't have another contract in the weeds, so that should cover it, and then it would be more like if there's fees or other expenses within this phase, but no, there's no contracts right now for this.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So change order to affect that too.
It could, but it would be again funding, so it would most likely either come back or we would have to identify funding for it.
Any other questions from the board? Do we have any questions from the audience?
Seeing none.
Anybody online? Nobody? I'll bring it back to the board for direction. I would move-
Gonzalez, I'll move to approve.
Got a motion by Chair Hume and a second by Chair Gonzalez. Say it right? Sure.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
Aye.
Tazi,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Alternate Hernandez,
Aye.
Pedroso,
Yes.
Valdez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burgess,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hume,
Aye.
Chair Baboon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item passes. We'll move on now to item number 7, which is from David up here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair and directors. So today we have an item for you. It's about rebranding the service from San Joaquin's to a different name that sort of is revealed on the slide. You know, there's no big reveal. It's Gold Runner. We've included several items like within your packet to sort of lead you to sort of where we've been in this conversation. We've been with you a few items over the past year, kind of leading us through a process of rebranding the service. But since we do have a few new directors, I have some of the slides from previous presentations to sort of catch everybody up from like where we've been to where we are proposing to go. When this authority took over the management of the San Joaquins, really day to day, about 10 years ago in 2015, the scope and the vision for the San Joaquins was quite different than where you have led us and your predecessors have led us today. The vision for the service has really expanded. Not only are we running the service that we're running today, but we have the Valley Rail program that's been incorporated into the San Joaquin's future, as well as our planning and processes with California High-Speed Rail in the future, as well as some of the recent developments about the authority and its partnership with the Rail Commission taking over management of certain services of like the maintenance of the equipment from Amtrak. And with that expanded vision for the service, staff recommended a process of really then looking into how we want to match the branding arrangement of that service and its related services like on into the future. And when we really proposed this project, we came to you with these business case principles. So we weren't just going to sort of make a rebranding project just because the marketing department wants to do something fun, but we really do need to ground this into making sense for the taxpayer, making sense for you as an authority. So we really grounded it upon these principles. One of the features of the brand that we have today, Amtrak San Joaquins, is it's owned by Amtrak. And every iteration that you could think of is also owned by Amtrak as well. But really, from a day-to-day perspective, your staff, as well as the consultants that you've approved, are managing that brand on a day-to-day basis. So SJJPA staff control the social channels. We are doing the advertising and market. We are really managing the San Joaquin's brand. And really the proposal from a business perspective is, well, as you continue to invest in this brand, it makes sense to match the ownership of the brand to the management of that brand. I think one of the features that we've heard from the public is that it's a little bit confusing that so much of what the San Joaquins does is run this through a bus service, but the brand doesn't necessarily indicate that it's a bus service. So we really want to look into the future. Well, how can we build a brand that people understand is multimodal? It's not just the train, but it's also the bus. As I mentioned before, this authority has invested significant funds in promoting the San Joaquins brand and has plans in its business plan that you just approved the draft to invest even further into the brand. And it makes sense that investment would be something that is owned by the authority. I mentioned sort of like some of the future vision ideas of Valley Rail, as well as you owning really the service itself. Makes sense to own the brand like that is connected to it. It also puts us into alignment here in Northern California with our sister service, the Capital Corridor, who have a very similar arrangement to what we proposed. Is that the Capital Corridor JPA owns the Capital Corridor brand, but the service is still operated by Amtrak. So we're proposing a similar brand arrangement. And when we embarked on this, we did some significant research over the course of several years. The sort of the larger box is what we did initially, both qualitative, quantitative research, understanding, well, what would it look like for us to rebrand the service? As I mentioned before, we manage the brand on a day-to-day basis. So we're taking in all of the learnings, like what people tell us about who we are, but also the way in which we talk, like as the brand is a big part of, it's not just a name, but it's who we are and who we aspire to be, right, in the future. After some of this discussion with you, the authority, you provided us some significant feedback and direction as a staff on how to progress this project. And so that, of course, has been incorporated into the proposal that you see today. And then really we've talked more than, as I mentioned before, it's not just a name, it's not just a logo, but it's who we are. And really these are the pillars that we propose to you be the pillars of the brand itself, that we want to be an affordable service. And as you know, the San Joaquin's serves a disadvantaged population that is traveling all over California. We have a principle of keeping the San Joaquin's affordable to our passengers. The San Joaquin's is all about connectivity, right? How do we get these buses all the way up to Eureka and all the way down to San Diego and all the other things that we do? And we're really here to serve the passenger. The passenger is number one. And you've communicated that to staff on almost every occasion. But we also like to do things in a little bit of a fun way. The San Joaquin's is a fun service, right? We have a lot of students on board, and part of the brand is being fun. And then one of the things that staff has begun to do is to sort of move sort of like some of the look and feel of the brand. As the venture cars were released into revenue service, there was a lot of bright and very like cheery colors on the livery. We began to move some of the brand like into these tones so that the service that you see at the station sort of matches the look and feel of the brand itself. And when you go on the website, you'll see like this reflected as well, even with the current brand. And so we've come to discuss this with you, as I mentioned a few different times at your May 2024 meeting. We really sort of had our first presentation about this project. We received some feedback from you, integrated that into the project itself, including some naming direction. We did like a subsequent survey of the board members as well. At your July 2024 meeting, we brought back sort of like, well, here's what we've done as a staff to really get the confirmation that we were headed in the right direction. And at that meeting, we said that the next item you're going to see on this is going to be a requested action. And so the goal today is to approve the new name for the service, which is Gold Runner, and then to adopt the official marks like of the service itself. And so the way that this sort of the naming and the brand is put together, and this is based off of your feedback as well, is that a tagline was something that we heard was really important. One of the tagline that we've been using is connecting you to California, because really the San Joaquin's is really a statewide service. So we propose to continue to utilize that tagline. In the identity components, it was indicated that having some sort of icon was like important. So that you'll see in the marks is incorporated. And then from a naming perspective, we talked about this sort of like two-fold naming convention, that we needed something that sort of said California, like to our riders, like similar to Pacific and Capital, like in our sister services. And then something that said we do transportation, but not train, because the research that we did, as we mentioned, is people think it's disingenuous when we say train, but we then are going to put them on a bus. Like something, we needed some sort of way to say we move people, but without using the word train to keep it multimodal. And really that's where we came to this recommendation of naming the service Gold Runner. And so today that is our recommendation, that you adopt the name Gold Runner as the official brand name of the San Joaquin's Intercity Passenger Rail Corridor, which is like the official name, like of the corridor at the state level. And this is not very exciting slide, because the exciting slide is the next slide, where you see this is the official sort of brand mark of the service. And sometimes it's helpful also to see these things like in a physical format. So staff is creating to look at this. And so this is the sort of the primary lockup. And then this slide represents some secondary lockups that are able to be utilized as a part of the rebranding project. And pending approval today, like staff and Amtrak have been working together on prioritizing all of the assets that are controlled by each of our companies, and how those would be then implemented as a part of the rebranding project. And Amtrak is finalizing its implementation timeline, because you can imagine there's a lot of systems that include the brand name that are controlled by Amtrak. And right now we're currently estimating somewhere in Q1 of FY26, so October, November timeframe, where this would become the public name of the service. And the action today doesn't necessarily carry with it any sort of fiscal impact, but there certainly is an implied fiscal impact of all of the rebranding activities. So the costs associated with this effort are included in the business plan that you approved the draft of today. And staff recommends adopting the name Gold Runner and the official marks included in the packet. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the board? Yes.
Not a question, just a comment. I'm still partial to Joaquin's Phoenix. Yeah, granted, you thought I was a joker.
I know.
And you were not entertained.
We have started like the sub, accounts for that, and that would be our alternate ego.
Good. I like it. Great work. Thank you.
Anybody else online?
I just wanted to make a comment. Congratulations. I think rebranding and remarketing is always a huge accomplishment for boards. And coming from Dublin and the Tri-Valley, that we became a city in 1982, so we had to eventually create a city and do our housing elements and Sacramento and everything. But we rebranded, and it's been nothing but great news for us. So, and I know it was so many years in the planning, but I just want to say congratulations, because I love the logo, and I love how you integrated California into it. So good job.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the audience?
We had a few comments received online, one in the chat, commenting on the service, stating, so Gold Runner should refer to a service that is neither gold nor serves Gold Country. Future headlines, Gold Runner goes gold sleeping after budget crisis. And then we received an emailed public comment from Michael Barnbaum, who stated his support for the new brand name and asked for assurance that Amtrak will remain the operating partner of the service.
Very good. I do have a comment. So anybody knows me, so my great grandfather came over here in 1906 and farmed on a ranch called Gold Top Ranch. And so I own the Gold Top Ranch. I purchased it from my family in 2005. And I also have a commercial property business, which is called Gold Top Investments. And I'm known for building custom Corvettes, which is Gold Top Restoration. So that's Gold Runner. So it's kind of funny. So my wife have different names for gold, but yeah, it's quite amusing for me to see this. I don't think I inputted the Gold Runner as my choice, but I think it's pretty cool. So do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Vito.
Second case's motion.
Motion by Vito and second by Patrick Jones.
Thank you.
Perfect call.
Directors Keith,
Aye.
Bazey? Yes. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Alternate Hernandez?
Aye.
Pedrosa?
Yes.
Valdez?
Aye.
Vice Chair Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hill?
Aye.
Chair Boone?
Yes.
Thank you.
I pass it. Thank you very much. Move on now to item number 8, and I think we have Angela.
Morning. I apologize, this will not be as exciting. The slides, they will not be as riveting, but equally important, what we are asking today is to adopt a resolution authorizing us to execute amendment number 2 to our Amtrak operating contract, and a little bit of background. So since 2016, our operating contracts have been negotiated each and every year. They're a 1-year operating agreement, and negotiations for the federal fiscal year that we are in right now have been ongoing, and some of the actions that we've taken recently, like the mechanical oversight, changes in our food and beverage program, have necessitated a lot of changes in the operating agreement environment in terms of roles and responsibilities. And so in September of 2024, we approved amendment number 1, which was effective October 1st, to use the continuation period for the first 6 months of the federal fiscal year that we are in right now. That amendment right now is going to be expiring March 31st. And as you can see, the mechanical transfer alone is covering almost over 20 different agreements. And so in moving all of these agreements, there's lots of meetings and there's lots of changes, and we simply want to use our next amendment so that we can cover the next 6 months of our federal fiscal year. Currently, we're seeking to extend it, and that will take us all the way through the end of our federal fiscal year for 25. And we are going to come back to you for a full federal fiscal year 26 operating agreement. And so our advance payment schedule right now puts the operating cost at about $83 million. And our first 6 months came in at $24 million. And our next amendment to cover the $24.2 million will take us all the way through the end of the operating year. And the funds have already been approved by CalSTA. And so we're simply saying that the various parties will come to a resolution, and we can come back to you for federal fiscal year 26, but we do need to close out the 6 months that are remaining.
Yeah, so the amendment was handled in, this amendment will negate basically what Angela just said. We're not going to do a federal fiscal year 2025 agreement. So we're carrying over, and then we'll come back after the 2026 is approved. So the continuation period will be brought to the board authority prior to the end of that continuation period. Procurement and contract staff have confirmed that the price of the amendment is fair and reasonable. And just to reiterate what Angela just shared, it's going to be about $24.2 million, and then the new not to exceed amount for both federal fiscal years, so that's 2 full years, is $109.5 million for 2 years. The amendment will be effective April 1st, and then it will end September 30th, 2025. The state funding is part of the annual business plan. It's currently as again, Angela, I'm repeating you, unfortunately, the fiscal year 2024-25 business plan, and then the 25-26 will also include the portion that's needed to cover it. And the staff recommends approving this amendment, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This is why we have to start putting this plate, right?
Yes.
So thank you for the staff getting us on the agenda now, so we'll come back next week. So I appreciate it. Do we have any comments from the board? Do we have any comments from the public?
Seeing none online.
I'll take that motion from the director of the board.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Vice Chair Hong, you,
Second.
second by Pagazzi. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Directors Pieza,
Aye.
Fugazi. Yes. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ahmed Hernandez,
Aye.
Pedrosa,
Aye.
Gomez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burgess,
Aye.
Hume,
Aye.
Chair Boone.
Yes,
Thank you.
that passes. Thank you very much. Move on now to item number 9, and it's information only, so all yours.
Great. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Andy Cook. I'm the planning and programming manager with the JPA staff, and I'm excited to report on the status of the JPA's efforts to restore the San Joaquin 7th round trip. As everyone knows, the San Joaquin service was severely cut during the course of the pandemic and restored in a couple of steps. The agency has been operating A reduced 6th round trip for several years now, while we've coordinated with the state to discuss the timing of restoring the 7th round trip based on various budget considerations and us monitoring ridership. But just a few months ago, the State Transportation Agency did approve our ability to restore that 7th round trip, and I'm happy to report that the staff is prepared to schedule a start date for the 7th round trip service at this time. So I'll be reviewing the proposed schedule and some considerations for implementation, including fleet availability, which I'll be focusing. So in anticipation of that approval, the staff did initiate an effort last year to begin to review and develop a schedule for the 7th round trip. And at the outset, we established a number of goals for restoring that 7th round trip service to kind of update things based on our current operating realities and the current needs for the corridor at this stage in time. So the first goal was simply to restore the 7th round trip as a 2nd round trip between Sacramento and Bakersfield and align that service for better serving the Sacramento's destination market. And then a really important goal of the 7th round trip service is to adjust the pulse schedule that the service is operating on to match the Surfliner schedule. So the schedule that the service is on is scheduled in evenly spaced frequencies every 2 hours. It's called a pulse schedule, and it's intended to allow us to coordinate through Route 1 connections with the Surfliner service to support the interregional ridership that's very important for the San Joaquin service. The San Joaquin is like the backbone of the intercity passenger rail network that's supported by the state. And so the scheduling work that we do is designed to serve that purpose. In addition to restoring the 7th round trip, we also wanted to optimize it and make the service better. So we're optimizing those bus connections to and from the Surfliner service in Los Angeles. And then another goal of ours was to maintain a well-staged service throughout the day to and from Oakland and avoid having big gaps in service during certain points of the day, so we can capture as much of the ridership as out there as we can. And then complementing the restoration of service, 2nd round trip to Sacramento. We want to work on timing those connections to allow a ticketed connection between the Coast Starlight and the San Joaquin service in Sacramento. So I'm not going to bore you with the details of operations analysis here. What I do want to do is emphasize that although we do have the ability to start a 7th round trip at this time, that approval was based on a specific scheduling slot and a scheduling pattern that's now out of sync and out coordinated with the other services that we connect to. So the nature of the service goals that we have at this time mean that we are at the outset pursuing a very significant service change. So this planning staff did recommend that we conduct some operations modeling through the on-call planning contract that we have in place to analyze that schedule and ensure that we have confidence in the schedule's ability to meet those goals and have those time connections before we hand this off to Amtrak and the host railroads and kind of leave it in their hands to review it and tweak it. So really want to have a little bit more control over that process, and this is meant to accomplish that. I just want to emphasize that this is simply not a matter of restarting a service that we had approved before, got approval before. This was like a significant service change. So I'm going to walk through the proposed schedule here. That's fairly complex, starting with the northbound San Joaquin schedule, which can be read from the bottom up. What this shows is the Surfliner schedule that we were told to coordinate with. This is the schedule that our partner managing agency, LoSan, which oversees the Surfliner services, working on implementing. Working up in the middle here, through Route 1 through bus connections, including some considerations that staff made for bus travel times and optimizing connection times. And at the top is our San Joaquin service with station stops on the x-axis, and then moving over on the y-axis, we have the train numbers and the schedule slots going from right to left. In terms of like the coloring is important. So like the light yellow on this schedule represents the 6th round trip capacity that we're operating now and how that's allocated to time slots. And then the dark yellow for the San Joaquins is implementation of the 7th round trip in the northbound direction, which results in allows us to have a midday arrival time in Sacramento for the 7th round trip. Service. I'll note some lightly shaded colors there. This is closely coordinated with the Capital Corridor, which is concurrently developing their own schedule, planning for their own schedule change for the Capital Corridor service. Given that it was happening, the JPA staff coordinated with the capitals to make sure that they were respecting the pulse schedule that the San Joaquin is already on. And then designing their schedule to work around that. So we were largely successful in doing that, but as we went through the operations modeling, it's clear like there were some unavoidable conflicts. And so this is just meant to highlight little tweaks that needed to be made to the San Joaquin schedule to coordinate with the Capital Corridor's plan schedule change. And then in the southbound direction, again, the 7th round trip is implemented as train 704, which is an evening departure from Sacramento, going to Bakersfield. Another change we made was to use the last train departure from Oakland. We have some flexibility for scheduling that train. So we scheduled it a little bit earlier, so it has an earlier arrival train into Bakersfield. And in the northbound direction, I should have mentioned that we did reschedule that last train. So a significant earlier arrival into Sacramento, a little more than an hour earlier with the northbound schedule. And then again, coordination with the Capital Corridor, we added some runtime to one of the trains. That's temporary. Capital Corridor is leading development of a siting project, which they need to implement to be able to shift their service onto a schedule that's well synced with ours. So this is these temporary adjustments we made to coordinate with the Capital Corridor as well. I mentioned optimization of throughway route 1 bus connections. Close attention was made by staff to look at run times for buses and design optimized connections to the Surfliner service based on their schedule. Wait times in Los Angeles are minimized and the transfer times are optimized at 35 and 45 minutes between the Route 1 buses and the Thruway service. Right now, our connections to the Surfliner service are broken, and so it does restore that. So we have 4 solid connections to the Surfliner service, which is we anticipate will be very, very good for ridership. This accommodates for train delays in each direction, as well as potential bus delays with buses having to traverse LA traffic to get to Union Station. And this maintains an overnight Bakersfield to San Diego bus service, which does offer a 5th daily option through San Diego. Again, our rescheduling of the Sacramento trains allow us to accommodate or allow for a timed ticketed connection to the Coast Starlight. Train 702 in the morning, the first departure from Sacramento. We shifted that to depart a little bit later, which allows for a connection for passengers traveling southbound on the Coast Starlight, and some work will need to be done to allow that to be a ticketed connection. Another benefit of that later 702 departure is to avoid a chronic conflict between that train and Union Pacific's high priority, high speed freight train that carries freight for UPS. So this allows us to avoid that conflict the way the railroad's been dispatching that high priority train of theirs. And then we do think the 7 a.m. or so departure from Sacramento is a more appealing departure time than what was previous.
And that doesn't stop at Diamond, they cross right there. Is that why it's held up?
No, it's specific to how they're dispatching that one train, which regularly impacts
further north.
Yeah, yes. And then again, a connection to the northbound Coast Starlight is possible with the earlier arrival of train 703 into Sacramento. Use plenty of time to catch that Coast Starlight frequency, and which is sometimes unreliable. So our ability to implement this schedule is predicated on the availability of fleet. The prior 7 round trip schedule, we're currently operating, current schedule is operating with 7 trains. The prior 7th round trip schedule was operated with 8 train sets. When we did a deployment analysis based on this schedule, we determined that 9 train sets was necessary to operate this optimized schedule. So 1 additional train set over what was needed to operate the previous 7th round trip schedule. And this graphic shows the turn analysis that was done. The cumulative effect of kind of schedule changes we made to meet our goals meant that trains were arriving later and then turning around departing earlier, resulting in some unacceptably tight turnaround times. And so it was recommended that this additional train set be utilized to operate with the more comfortable turn times that we're operating in. Now, and with implementation, next steps, that's kind of building on what I was talking about, fleet availability. Again, this is our start date is dependent on availability of fleet and delivery by the state of the additional venture car sets. The 5th venture car set will give us 8 train sets to use. The 6th venture car set will give us 9 train sets, and our ability to put those into service is dependent on us having cab cars approved for deployment, which is an issue. So we are coordinating with the state to lease 5 Amtrak P42 locomotives to provide, basically fill the place of the cab cars, which revenue should putting into service. So we don't expect that to be done until August, September of this year, in which case we're recommending that we schedule start date for the 7th round trip on October the 6th, which is time to coordinate with the Capital Corridor's planned fall schedule change. And then certain additional next steps, a cost calculation for the 7th round trip based on the confirmed start date is needed, and then we'll need to coordinate, internally in the agency to market this new service. So I acknowledge it's been a long time coming. Implementing the 7th round trip, but I think the scheduling work that we've done is really set the service up for success moving forward long term. And then it'll be incumbent on the staff to coordinate with the state and our host railroad partners to ensure that we're operating the service with a high level of performance, and we're really kind of maximizing the benefits of the scheduling created and growing ridership, regrowing ridership on the San Joaquin service. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions from work? So we started an 8th round trip years ago, probably 17 or 18, kind of failed on us. Then COVID hit, and we went back to 6. So this 7th, we have 8 now. This will be the 8th one, right? This will be the 7th one.
This will 7th.
It was actually the 7th that we started as an early morning express,
Right.
and then took it back to a full.
It just kind of failed on us.
We didn't have enough. 1 train is not enough to give people enough certainty. If you're on ACE, we found that 2 was even a little dicey. And so I think we got some good test results from that. But until we have more service going to Sacramento in the what would be considered peak times, you just can't give people enough reliability. And so they opted. A few soldiers took it, but
Yeah, I like what you just proposed to us. It works for me if I want to go to Sacramento. And so it makes it nice. 506 leaves, so that's good. It helps out. I know I don't want to fail again because we lost momentum. We were doing really good. And we really felt that the 8th train would be beneficial, and it didn't work out too well. So I think this is fine. Get us back where we were. We can build momentum, add cars. We want a full train. People. I know that we have friends that ride the train, and it's always full. So we do, more frequent. And I didn't realize how much it worked with other trains, Capital Corridor and all that. So that's important.
yeah, and as we approached you in the past, it could be faster to put the trains just back where they were, but there are broken connections with Lausanne, which is critical. And people have said through the survey that they don't want those big gaps during the middle of the day. They want more routine service, and we have a couple big gaps, and so this schedule fixes it. But with how we turn the equipment, then we've got to have that extra set, which the equipment team has been working on with Andy.
They're being built now, right?
Pardon?
The 6th and the 7th trains that are being built now, or 5th and the 6th.
And
we have the 5th on the track.
We do. It's just that we have to have the next pairs, and the cab car is an issue for that right now. You've got to have a cab car or a locomotive on each end, and those are not available through the state yet. But there's some creative solutions being worked on, as always, but this is what it looks like if the current schedule of the equipment being available in the slots that people want the trains.
So, thank you. Do we have any questions from the board members online?
I'll, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead, Diane.
Thanks. Looking at this for just as a commuter thing, coming from, say, Stockton and Modesto to Oakland, the timing of this doesn't really help with that kind of thing. And I would hope in the future, because so many people do live in the Central Valley and go to the Bay Area, that if there was, and I think I was hearing that there was a test, and I don't know how long a test takes to be successful, but it's just an observation that I was looking at.
Thank you. Next question.
Yeah, so I was looking at that, the northbound, from here and that wide range. On the one that's already established that leaves here at 9:12 and is in Sacramento at 10:16. What is the ridership for that? I mean, do you have just an average for that? How many people are on that?
I don't have my current ridership figures for that.
And I asked because, again, we're talking about gaps. It was mentioned about the gap between Stockton and, let's say, Oakland. Because I've done that when we had that express train. I did it in the morning. I did the one in the afternoon, got 4 hours into Sacramento, had to get right back on it and get down here. But I know that I've talked to people who said, oh, they enjoyed that. I know the ridership wasn't there. But hopefully this, with the added train, people will show up, people will take advantage of the service.
I can actually tackle that. The Valley Rail expansion is the target to add those trains from the initially series up to Sacramento and Natomas in that more early morning hour. All the modeling that we've done, and I've pushed this many times, the modeling says one of the most important things we need to do right now with the intercity schedule is meet the Amtrak long distance trains. So until we've got some overlays that are a little bit shorter, we're not going to see parity with the schedule gaps that we have for Oakland. Oakland is the dominant ridership for the moment, but our hope and modeling shows that with Valley Rail and the whole program implemented, that you would start seeing better Sacramento day trips and business trips fulfilled. We're going to have to get there in steps.
Thank you.
Good. Any questions from the audience? It's just information, so thank you very much.
I did have a comment received online through email. It was just from Michael Barnbaum, his support for the service restoration.
Very good. Go on down to item 10, information only again.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the fun stuff again. So we're going back to that. We're really, talking about ridership and how we're just driving excitement for the brand and the service, specifically in and out of the Bay Area. Since the pandemic, we've seen some increased utilization of those stations, like Oakland, Emeryville. And so I have Winter Consulting, Christian Alano here today to talk to you about some of the work that his team is doing kind of on the ground and, being able to help get our brand out there to the various communities that we serve.
Great, thank you so much, Marcus. Pleasure to meet you all today. Good to see some familiar faces. I was here live this time last year. I'll try to make this quick. So apologies if I move through the slides rather quickly, but yes, my name is Christian Alana. I'm based in the Bay Area. I'm account manager for Bay Area marketing and outreach for Amtrak and Joaquin's here. So just to give you a brief overview of the agenda, I'm going to spend a lot of time on our partnerships and what we did over the last year to deepen and get new partnerships. Talk about our college outreach, general outreach, and because of time, I'll end that actually at Alex Ruth. So with that, this is our team. We're a small yet mighty team across two firms, Winter and Next Steps Marketing. We're a team of marketing, outreach, and community engagement specialists working closely together to spread the word and build brand awareness about Amtrak San Joaquin's and the great service, and with the ultimate goal of boosting ridership. So what really grounds us here in our efforts are 8 main initiatives for fiscal year 2025. This may look familiar to some of you. One, Allensworth, Oakland, working on bringing people to Oakland, bringing people to downtown Martinez, station area improvements, working with colleges and the youth, working to promote our throughway bus service, particularly Route 6 into the South Bay, into Santa Cruz, and Route 99 into San Francisco, then bringing people from the Bay into Central Valley and Southern California, and then general marketing services. So how do we do this? There's different tactics that we do, including creation of partnerships with chambers, visitor bureaus, hotels, festivals, universities. We also do marketing in terms of social media cross promotions with our partnerships, press releases, itinerary creation, and then general outreach, which could be anything from flyer posting, survey collection, and presentations to community organizations and university groups. So what's different for this year, this approach, we have 4 things that we wanted to make things more exciting and to really hone in on that was different than fiscal year 2024. One, to highlight senior and family trips, to promote travel for groups, for people who may be mobility impaired, for families with young children. We want to leverage new technologies and social media opportunities with different platforms out there, with new AI, conduct strategic and targeted tabling outreach. So being very intentional where we do our outreach and partnering with our partnerships when possible. Then finally, deepening our relationships so we can get the most of partnerships that we do have. So what does this look like? So over the course of the last fiscal year, we've nurtured the top 3 rows. Partnerships with Visit Oakland, Downtown Martinez and Company, the Waterfront Hotel. And then for this year, we explored new partnerships with the Exploratorium, an interactive museum in San Francisco, the Clancy Hotel, the Handlery Hotel, and the Oakland Museum of California. So with that, these are the new partnerships here that we were excited to work on, and we've gathered and launched them all within the last several months. First, I'll go through each of them quickly. With Exploratorium, we were able to get a BOGO offer, buy one, get one parent ticket, get a child ticket free offer with them for the summer. We also did heavy outreach in our effort to promote to families. We created a flyer in tandem with JSA to promote this opportunity to the Spanish-speaking community. We had major exposure to their e-newsletter members, and they were also able to provide tickets that we implemented with other partnerships that you'll see in the next slide with the Clancy Hotel. Let's see if this play a video here. This was a video that we created to promote the hotel. With the Clancy, this is literally just a 10-minute walk from the Route 99 bus stop in front of Salesforce Tower. We're able to get a 50% discount for Amtrak San Joaquin's riders. They've been able to work with us on various giveaways for our social media posts, and it was great. And they've been excellent partners to this day, and we're seeking to renew for the following year as well. We also achieved a great partnership with the Oakland Museum of California, also about a 10-minute walk from the Jack London Square station. So with your same-day admission ticket, you can just show proof of purchase, you get in for free. So this is great. We've been trying to promote that to particularly families here in Stockton for a day trip. You can go there, get there, take transit or walk and get there and spend the whole day near Jack London Square and the Oakland Museum of California. And then finally, this is our most recent launch, launched in November of last year with the Handlery Union Square Hotel. This is right in Union Square, about a 15-20 minute walk from the Route 99 bus stop, even closer by BART. And it is just a great hotel that offers one of the few hotels in San Francisco with a heated pool right there. So yeah, no, it offers a great discount at 20%. It's a little hideaway from the busy streets, and it's right next to all the shopping and all the great amenities that are coming up. So those are our new partnerships. I do want to stress that one effort this time around is also deepening our current partnerships. Visit Oakland has been an amazing partner. We are launching a partnership with them for our Oakland Restaurant Week, which is starting March 20th to the 30th. So over 100 restaurants are participating in Oakland. So please go and check out their website to see what offers you can have for prefixed brunch and dinner menus. Downtown Martinez, we joined and sponsored their Meet Me on Main event last June. And we are proud to announce that we're continuing to be the main sponsor, one of the main sponsors for their craft beer festival, Saturday, April 26th. It's just a 7-minute walk from the downtown Amtrak station. So please look into it if you're interested. And we're going to be promoting that heavily over the next couple months. And then with the Waterfront Hotel, blossomed into a really great partnership. Unfortunately, that hotel did shut down earlier this year, but when we did launch that partnership, we had an amazing partnership in terms of cross promotion. They're able to give us giveaway items for the social media posts. And then with that, these are some examples of what we're able to accomplish. That was during one of our pop-ups. We created a little pop-up board to incentivize people to post, their experience with us. We're one of the main sponsors for Martinez as well. And then this is a little animation. We really want to try to promote how close these experiences are to the stations and stops themselves, because that can sometimes be a barrier for people thinking about their travel. So that's one initiative. And just to highlight the deepening of the partnerships, these are some examples of what can come out of just a long elongated relationship over the years. So with the Waterfront, with Downtown Martinez, they were able to contribute some items as we did our annual tracklist giveaway. JSA created some of these collaterals, so shout out to them for that. So to wrap it up, these are the last several slides here. College outreach. We continue to have a robust college outreach program. Over the last fiscal year, we've conducted 8 outreach events, reaching and making discussions with over 1,500 students, staff, and community members, and we were able to have an additional 1,000 contacts into our contact list. Upcoming next month, we have the Cal Day Forum and the Transit Forum, where we'll be working with our college ambassadors to help staff that. For this year at UC Berkeley, we're continuing the robust student ambassador program. We again achieved to have 3 ambassadors, one returning, Jacqueline here. She is great. She produced this video. She lives in Bakersfield. So she always provides really great content in terms of showcasing the right home. They're also really great at sharing the toolkits for us whenever we have new promotions coming up for students. In terms of other journal outreach efforts, we had a Writer Appreciation Month pop-up at Emeryville Station. We conducted an Oakland Chinatown Luminaire outreach where much of the conversation were in Mandarin and Cantonese. And we've been also trying to, as the snow melts in Yosemite, trying to promote Yosemite travel more. You've seen a lot of YouTube influencers trying to promote how to get to Yosemite without a car. And we've been putting up flyers with the Yosemite rack cards at climbing gyms in the Bay, different sporting goods stores, and that has been met with a really good reception, and continuing to work with the team to create collateral like this to highlight our 3-way bus route. And then finally, here we have Allensworth. So proud to announce that we had successful trips last year. We applied for a Roots to Parks grant in 2024, got it, and with such success, we applied again for 2025, and proud to announce that we received it with an increase from 300 to 425 trips to Allensworth over 2 events, Juneteenth and the rededication ceremony in October, working with a variety of community groups, not just in the Bay, but throughout California, to get them to experience this township, the first one founded, financed, and governed by Black African American here in California. So that's an exciting initiative. We're about to start that with Juneteenth coming up. And with that, I'll take any questions. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Do you do anything with the colleges when it goes to Southern California? I know I have one of my my clerk works in office. Her son rides a train to UCLA. That goes Bakersfield to the bus to UCLA. So
great. Yeah, no, we work with a variety of different, there's a consulting team called MPI that we work with as well. So we work as a unit. We meet every quarter to make sure that we're aligning our messaging and getting the assets and collateral out there to a variety of students. I'm not sure if UCLA is a partner, but I know that we work extensively with the UC system to get the word out.
And she says she has to get taken ahead of time because the train is going full.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, well, don't get it in Hanford, just drive to Fresno, maybe you can get to Hanford going south, it's full.
It is.
Mr. Chair Fugazi.
Yes, so a couple things, you know, I love the fact that there are these, partnerships like with the hotels and with the different, venues. Because if you think about the cost of gas, you think of the cost of parking in San Francisco, $65 if you're in, you know, the hotel parking lot. Or if you're willing to chance it by parking somewhere in the public, I mean, I think it's just a win-win all the way around. I would like to see it maybe possibly somewhat in the reverse, because here in Stockton, we have Flavor Fest, we have Jazz Festival, we have Tequila Festival, we have Restaurant Week. I mean, we have a lot of things to offer here too. And so I'm looking forward to maybe having that back. And we have the waterfront, our waterfront hotel. We have Studio 6 over here, which was completely remodeled. So I think there's opportunity, maybe for the future, because Stockton is on the rise. I know we're every, you know, talking about every area, but we're a destination too.
So what's the Tequila Festival like?
And I'm gonna just kind of get Christian off the hook a little bit. We have a separate team that actually manages the Central Valley territory, and so they also have our partnerships growing and developing. So absolutely, we are working towards doing more of that all across the region.
And in LA.
Yeah, so we have a Southern
Or
California
SoCal.
team, and so you'll get to meet them later this year, as well as we'll have the other teams come in and present on what they've been doing to really just drive excitement. So we definitely know Stockton is a destination that we've got you covered.
And it's music and then some tequila.
The other way around.
Yes, and we've been able to really, you know, work on some of the partnerships like the Stockton Ports, so we partner with them, and then we're also doing some advertising with Adventist Stadium, so we've got some really good activities coming up.
And I've used your system going to Jack London Station and taking their waterfront hotel area and taking the ferry over to the ballgame. And it's very, very relaxing. And they have lots of food vendors out there in the Jack London area, so it's something you should, if you have time to experience, you should do it. Well, thank you. Any questions from the board on this item? Yes, we have one. Ms. Burgess.
Hi, thank you. So a couple things. First of all, I was talking to Hercules City Councilwoman Chris Kelly a couple weeks ago, and she took the train to Yosemite and said that it was a wonderful experience. And she's I've seen her a couple times since then, and she's brought it up a couple times. So I wanted to throw that out. I also wanted to remind us that next year is our 250th anniversary of our country. And it would be kind of interesting to, you know, kind of celebrate our country and using the train and all of that. And then I also wanted to point out, Vice Chair Hume and I serve on the Delta Protection Commission. And we recently had our plan for the first National Heritage Area approved by the national parks. And that creates a lot of different kinds of experience opportunities, economic development types of things. And so I think that if there's some partnerships to be made related to that, there might be something interesting about, you know, those kind of weekend trips to go explore our country and having that locally and from people far away.
Very good, thank you. I know that in 1976, I took the train up to Fresno to see the Freedom Train. And I had a bunch of displays of artifacts in the train that you can go see, so I think that was my first time. I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, it's been 50 years since then, and I was a little kid.
I never read this. Any comment from the public?
Seeing that online.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll move on now to board member comments. Do we have any board members that have anything they'd like to add to the meeting today? None, we'll go ahead and we'll do the executive director report.
Thank you. I do have a few quick items, and then I do have to run to another meeting. I did want to note that after the meeting that the JPA board meeting that was held in Martinez in Contra Costa County, where the Antioch station was discussed, there was really good, informative, heartfelt public comment. And we had a lot of different members from the community, from nonprofit groups in that area, nonprofit groups in the Bay Area at large. I believe there was Mayor Thorpe Hernandez at the time. He came and made a presentation. You had a council member, I think, from the Richmond area. And based upon that public comment and the discussion that occurred, the board directed the staff to reach out to the community members that they were sort of leading the advocacy for the Antioch station, the city and Amtrak to form an advisory committee of equal representation so that every voice could be heard and that every voice could participate in a solution that would let this board reconsider that action. And so you gave us that direction. Tamika Smith has been, and Cameron Villar from our team have been the primary organizers to help with that and facilitate. The first meeting was held a few weeks ago, February 18th. We did have confirmation from the two community members that were supposed to attend. They didn't attend, and so Tamika's been reaching out to them to see what the barriers were to that. We otherwise would have reported out to you, committee met, had these discussions, which it did. But we felt it's not complete without the two most important representatives there, I think, are the community members. And so we would more regularly report that out to you once we have the next one scheduled for April 17th. And so we would plan on an ongoing basis, keep you apprised of those discussions. So for the members that commented today, we appreciate that. It will help them to know there is something, and they know the players that will be speaking on their behalf and seeking their input. So that will be forthcoming every time. So
can I ask, I get a lot of emails, they're the
Yes.
same email over and over again.
we do.
Can we get a boilerplate response
Yes,
that says when the next meeting is, please again?
yes.
And that way we're not ignoring them, because it's hard to answer them
It
all,
is,
and we want to be
yes.
consistent with the same message from all board members.
Yes, and what I would suggest is we send that through to Tamika, and then who's a direct line.
I didn't want to crash your email on Friday night.
No, no, but it's
Yeah,
important,
one
people
time.
need to know that we are receiving those and that there are efforts underway, which include members of the community. I did want to reiterate, Jackie will be contacting you. We do want to have the joint workshop with the Rail Commission in May. You know, that can be somewhat tricky, setting the schedule, but Jackie will be trying to work that out. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I think those joint meetings are very productive and informative for both boards. I wanted to quickly introduce, just they only have time to stand up and say hello. Christine Inouye is our new Director of Capital Programs on staff. She just joined, her first week was last week. And Adele Ahmed, who is our new Manager of Public Relations. Both of these positions were really key to the expansion effort that we have going on. So we're so excited that they've joined the team. And I'll let them come up and just mingle with you a little bit after the meeting, but some of the pieces that we really need in place to push the program forward are now here, and we're very appreciative of that. And then I would just note, as David briefly mentioned, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been embarked on a passenger-friendly ticketing system that will help no matter whether you ride ACE or San Joaquin's or the initial high-speed rail service. Capital Corridors expressed an interest so that we all have some kind of easy to use complementary system for the passengers. Don't worry about the train, it's ticketing is easy no matter where you go. And so we've been on that path for about the last 4 years. We were planning to come back to you to show the evolution of that. The state has asked us to stop, they're having a ticketing summit. Because they've started a new system with bus and light rail agencies, which we participated on in the early days as the high speed rail. But the kind of ticketing doesn't lend itself to reservation to the buses that are connecting to trains. And so at the time they said, you know, go ahead and pursue your own. they've sort of pulled that back, so we might need your help to sort of reiterate, we're trying to get something that's seamless for this whole regional ridership, including all the entities. And if they do want us to stop our process, then their process will have to accommodate what we need, because it will be too confusing to the rider to try to do it.
Which part of the state is this?
This is the Valley Rail program plus Capital Corridor is interested, so it would be all the rail services.
But who wants you to stop right now?
It's a state collaboration, a couple state agencies that are trying to, and they're really working on a back office, payment processing system, which I think is important. We're arguing that they should make sure we accommodate cash, as are some of our riders do. And so I think a consolidated payment collection system could be beneficial for everybody. But the ticketing part itself, the rider is not advancing fast enough to be able to accommodate our needs here in the next couple of years. So it just that, I don't know if I got that right for David, but we may need to seek your help and input, just depending on what happens with the summit. And so you can always talk to David about that, and he'd probably be the one reaching out. Yeah, he's over there, sorry.
I'm moving around. Right?
Yeah. With that, that concludes my report, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I know that the high-speed rail is in the spotlight right now. We don't want to be the high-speed rail. We want to show that we have something to brag about and something we can promote. So any chance we get to promote our new gold river system, I would appreciate. I think it's time to show that we're sustainable in the state of California, and we do a good job for delivering our passengers to a good destination. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I want to go back to the first thing you started with. I didn't want to address it during comments not on the agenda because it's not good policy to address those in real time. But in addition to the committee efforts that you spoke about, I remember that myself and then Mayor Young, as well as JPA staff, went down and met with the then mayor and city manager.
Yes.
And identified that we weren't slamming the door closed on Pittsburgh, but that they had to make physical and operational changes to their station in order to be considered for reinitiating service, that it wasn't just the spacing issue that was at play.
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Since it wasn't agendized, I didn't want to make comments on it, but I did want to say that I did attend the meeting with the city of Antioch, the new mayor, Ron Bernal, and the city manager, Bessie Scott, are very interested in doing what they can. They've made some commitments. There was an incident recently, and I'm still trying to clarify what happened. But I will say that we did miss the members of the public. I did want to send a get well soon to one of them who had some health issues, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to participate in the next meeting. But I will say Antioch is making an effort to do what they can, and that is to keep the station open as long as they can, and for us to consider reopening it or not closing it in the future. But there's a lot going on, and I think the communication has been much improved in the last few months.
Very much. Okay, there's no more comments or anything. The meeting is adjourned. May 16th, 2025 at 1:15 p.m.
Thank you, Chair. Right, now before